Hello everyone, welcome back to This and That. I have not made an advice video in a minute because I've been historically making these videos very late, which this is still kind of late, but yes, stress management. Oh my gosh, this is such a lifesaver, as in, like, it will literally elongate your life because one of your primary health and sleeping problems are most likely going to be related to stress in your life. If there's always something that you have to think about, if there's always this pressure that you feel, not only increases your blood pressure, your heart rate, but increases your chances of heart failure, heart attack, can't developing heart related issues like cancer. It makes it more difficult to exercise, which is great stress management. It makes it more difficult to do everything if you have general sleep problems because your cognition fails, and when you're tired it's harder to make decisions. It just all is derailing. So let's talk about stress and actually dealing with stress. First thing that ever comes to your mind is actually what causes the stress. This can be activities that you have to do. This can be this general life pressure that you're not at where you want to be at, or this idea that there is something else that you could be doing, or there's always something that you could be doing better. And these are all very real, very very genuine problems that you could most likely have as an individual. Another part of this is environmental factors, right? Like you have your family telling you that you should be do this certain thing, or like you have to do your job, and like the people expect a lot out of you. It might be very demanding. There is this general idea that not only are you responsible for yourself, but you also might be responsible for other people. Like you might have a family at home, or you might have friends or people that depend on you. There are some factors that may have been within your control at some point, but now are mandatory and directly putting pressure on you and your life. And then there is also just general stress management. Tasks can feel very large, things can feel very out of hand. There's the downward derailing that I talked about, and also general feelings of anxiety or worry or thinking in which you have to go through. So, not sure how well I'm going to structure this. We'll just see how it goes. You know how we one shot things. First thing that is most important, and that's actually acknowledging your stress. As in, the best way to manage your stress is to realize that you're stressed. If you just let the things that exist pile up, you're never going to actually solve any of your problems. And it's much easier to get into a rhythm, checking off tasks and making things easier, which will actually reduce your stress because you're taking away the causes, than, well, not. And then this next part, you, you guessed it, it's actually, well, dealing with your stress. And the most important thing there is actually making your tasks more manageable. So, second most important thing after you actually identify the problem is to actually start solving it. And that is a very human thing to have motivational problems because you see a task and it seems very large and it seems very out of hand. But if you break it down into smaller steps, you realize that things are easier and not as complicated. And what do I mean by breaking things down? I mean planning. So, actually plan the things that you are going to deal with. So, whenever I start a new coding project, I go straight to ChatGPT for ideation. I do research to make sure that the problem that I'm dealing with hasn't already been dealt with before. Maybe you talk to friends or family. Maybe you actually ask your boss in advance or have good organization. Like Notion is very popular right now for organizational tasks, or you do like Google or a notepad. Just get those ideas out there so you don't have to keep thinking about the same thing over and over and over and over again. I actually could not think of something which is more unproductive than using your limited compute or your brain power to think and worry about things. And that is the next part. Like acknowledging your stress and actually dealing with your stress means turning your stress into something actionable. Stress is a feeling. It is temporary. It comes and goes even if it feels like it is eternal. And to be stuck in overthinking and anxiety and just general feelings of dread and worry is unfortunately unproductive. And you can't stop your brain from thinking about these things, and you can't force yourself to just feel better about it. But in terms of perspective, you need to focus on doing what you can. I just made a video about controlling the controllables. Control the controllables. Like, I guess this all ties together. Like, you can't control the controllables without taking action. But yes, make your thoughts, your worries, your stresses into something actionable and actually work off that. I don't think I mentioned this when I was doing the ideation phase of our this and that, but you, oh no, I can feel the thoughts slipping away. Turning something productive. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave this in while I watch myself play Zenyatta and die. Oh no, I live these. Okay, let's go. But when you actually turn around and make something productive, and you might have worries and concerns, like that doesn't actually do anything for you, right? Like worrying, anxiety, like overthinking about things, like it does have its place, and that is like risk management. That is to prevent you from doing something stupid, but the majority of the time, it doesn't actually help you solve your problems. And then now it's coming to the point where you need to sit yourself down and have realism, guys. I got the train of thought back, where you actually think about your actions and what you're doing. It's commonly referred to as meta consciousness or meta thinking, if you want it to be simpler. And sitting down and having a talk with yourself and realizing, like, what do I have to do, what do I want to do. And oh my gosh, I love time planning. Like, open up a spreadsheet and just fill out your day to day, or like say, how many hours am I doing this thing. I personally can tell you that I am very worried about my upcoming semester, because I have 1 hour of free time at the worst end. On the high end, on the good end, so like better, sorry, on the low end, I have, oh, I think I said that backwards. So on the low end, I have 1 hour of free time, and on the high end, I have 3 hours of free time every single day, which includes my weekends, which is crazy. But basically, that could stress me out a lot. But I'm sitting here looking at myself, I'm like, okay, I can do these things every single day, and these are mandatory commitments. Like, I have to go to this club meeting, I have to go to school. Like, these are mandatory for me. And then the stuff that I want to do, like content creation, or I want to add new stuff to my club, or develop new features, or go to these hackathons. But unfortunately, these are external and not mandatory, and I may or may not have free time for them, but they are a lower priority. So actually ranking the things that you need to do in your life, the things that are mandatory and the things that you want to do, and of course you need time for both because it helps keep you sane. But in terms of stress management and actually your risk, you need to prioritize, like pick and choose. And then finally, my very bottom rung, this is like completely excluding Maslow's hierarchy of needs, so not like your health stuff, like that should be high priority. Like your family, that should most likely be high priority. School, education, work, high priority. Very, very low at the bottom is real, recognize real. Like, sit down and ask yourself if the things that you're doing are worth it. Do you actually want to be doing the things that you're doing? Like, what can you cut out of your life and not be sad about? And a little optional note, because I don't really know where to put it, is realize that you are in control of your circumstances. Sometimes a lot of the stress comes from just feeling like everything is so large and that you have no control over your circumstances, but you do. At some point in your life, you chose certain things, and whether if it was out of necessity or if it was because you actually wanted to do them, you chose that. And you can't change your past actions, but you can change how you see them right now. So to recap, most important thing, identify the problem, actually adjust the problem, build from it, learn, grow, and plan. Oh my gosh. Planning is the most important tool that you can use to actually fight your stress. So the first two were just identifying that you should plan. The actual tool or the problem solving is, well, planning. And finally, a little bit of caveats about actually recognizing if you need the things that you're doing in your life, and also choosing which things you need to do. And things that you need to do, which want to do, should be above actually culling things out of your life. Because it might be a necessity right now, but when can it no longer be a necessity? And that is my 2 cents on not problem solving, on stress at a very high level. Okay, that's about it, y'all. See you later.